Hello all, my name is Mrs.Manasi Hande, Assistant Professor in the Department of Information Technology from Changu Kana Thakur Arts, Commerce and Science College, New Panvel. Today we will be discussing React Component Lifecycle. So what is lifecycle methods? In React, the lifecycle refers to the various stages or the phases a component goes through. Each phase has a set of lifecycle methods that are called at specific point in the component's lifecycle. These methods allow you to control the component's behavior and perform specific actions at different stages of its lifecycle. A component's life cycle has three main phases: the mounting phase, the updating phase, and the unmounting phase. This is a pictorial presentation of the life cycle methods. As you can see, there are three phases: mounting, updating, and unmounting, and each phase has its methods. So phases of a React component: first is a mounting. The first phase is the mounting phase, in which the component is initialized and inserted into the DOM, that is document object model. During this stage, lifecycle methods such as constructor, render, and component did mount are called. Second is a updating phase. Once components are mounted, they move on to the second step, which is called updating. This is when a UI element is updated because of changes in its state or user interactions. What are the methods which are get called? Should component update, component did update, and render methods are called during this phase. The last phase is unmounting. The phase where a component is removed from the DOM is unmounting. The component will unmount method is called during this phase. Let us see in detail. Mounting refers to the process of creating and inserting a component into the DOM for the first time in React application. During the mounting, React initializes the component, sets up its initial state, if any, and inserts it into the DOM. Methods get called are constructor. Now this method or a constructor is used to initialize a state and bind the methods. It is executed before the component is mounted. Second method is get derived state from props, which accepts the two parameters as a props and a state. It is used for updating the state based on a props, executed before every render. Next method is a render method. It is responsible for rendering the JSX and updating the DOM. Next method is a component did mount method. This function is invoked right after the component is mounted on the DOM. That is, this function gets invoked once after the render function is executed for the first time. Second phase is updating. Updating refers to the process of component being re-rendered due to changes in its state or a props. This phase occurs whenever a component's internal state is modified or its parent component passes new props. When an update happens, React re-renders the component to reflect the changes and ensure that the DOM is updated accordingly. Methods that are get called during the update phase are get derived state from props. This also accepts two parameters as properties and state. It is a static method that is called just before the render method in both the mounting and the updating phase in React. Should component update method determines whether a component should re-render or not. It compares the current and next props or states and returns true if the component should update or false if it should not update. Get snapshot before update method is invoked just before DOM is being rendered. It is used to store the previous values of the state after the DOM is updated. Another method is component did update. This function is invoked after the component is rendered. That is, this function gets invoked once after the render function is executed after the updation of a state or a props. Unmounting phase. This is the final phase of the life cycle of the component. It is a phase of unmounting and component from the DOM. Methods. Component will unmount. This function is invoked before the component is finally unmounted from the DOM. That is, this function gets invoked once before the component is removed from the page, and this denotes the end of the life cycle. It is used to perform cleanup tasks such as unsubscribing from the service. Thank you.